Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about each of our wonderful panel. Mim Shaikh, BBC One Extra presenter, is a radio personality, actor and comedian. He is the host of BBC One Extra, Weekend Breakfast Show, and also has a show on the BBC Asian Network, which features the topical chat debate segment. Mim's radio journey began at university, where he presented a specialist music show on Leeds Student Radio, where he won Best Specialist Music Programming and Best Interview Awards at the Student Radio Awards. He has also been recognised for his achievements at the Guardian Student Media Award and Broadcast Journalism Training Council.
Thank you.
So, Mim, you got your big break quite early on. What have been the key drivers behind the success of building your personal brand, and what do you consider as challenges of getting to where you are now?
Yeah, it's a bit... Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. Good to see you all. It's reminding me of being at my first day at university. I studied at Leeds, and that's how my whole journey actually began, where I realised that I actually wanted to be a broadcaster and a presenter. And I was studying broadcast journalism at the time, and I just had this passion of just getting on the radio. And I think the main key driving factors in order for me to do that is having my eyes open whilst going into a radio studio in the beginning and realizing this is what I want to do for the rest of my life and get paid to be able to do that. I remember doing my show for free. I had not a lot of people listening to me at the time. I think it was just me, a couple of friends, and my nan that used to tune in. But they used to keep me going because I had some listeners, right? And I would set myself on deadlines all the time to just make sure my show was done at a good standard, and keep just pushing forward for everything that I could do. And then done a lot of internships after I graduated, and then started getting jobs at the BBC. But I think the key driving force is just to be able to set yourself a target and know that you've achieved that target. I knew I wasn't going to stop until I got a show on the BBC for radio.
Okay, so let me ask you a quick question before I go on to another panelist. When you had just your nan, what made you keep going? There's a lot of people at that stage would think, God, this is not working for me.
Yeah, I didn't really have that as an option. I didn't really know that it's not gonna happen. Mm-hmm. I was like, as soon as I set myself that target in order to be able to do that, I just wanted to make sure that I could go and make sure that I achieved that. And I think by just having her was probably more motivating than actually having two fully functioning parents in regards to giving you the support and everything that you need, because sometimes you don't get that as much. And I never really had that from a young age. So I feel like that was always the main driving force behind keep going, keep doing what you need to do and keep pushing through.
Okay. Right, we'll be coming back to you with some more questions. Michelle Moore, Director of Moore Development. Michelle Moore is a former athlete, educator, and now a performance consultant, helping organisations and individuals to become high-performing and more inclusive in their practice. Michelle's expertise includes sports, diversity and inclusion, education, and corporate social responsibility. In 2016, Michelle won the prestigious Precious Awards for Outstanding Women in Sports. She has been featured in the Independent's 50's Most Influential Women in Sports and won an Accolade UK Changemaker Award in 2015 for her contribution to sports for social change. Michelle played a key role in the London 2012 Olympic Games, developing strategy and creating engagement opportunities for thousands of young people and staff in London schools. Another long and amazing journey. A lot of people leave university not knowing what path they want to take and fall into their careers. As a woman in a leadership position, to what extent were your career and business moves about having a plan and executing it?
Well, I didn't have a plan, to be honest. I was under a lot of pressure from my dad, who was a bit of a tyrant, and he said, you just have to have a plan, Michelle. And so I knew that I loved sport. I was an athlete. I was a 400-metre runner. and I decided to become a teacher. I scraped my A-levels, I failed my maths GCSE 3 times, I failed my driving test 4 times, I failed a lot. And I just about got into university, and I remember the only reason I got into university was because I was a decent runner and could play netball. So I got into university, I decided that, you know what, I love sport, I like young people, I'm going to do a teaching degree. I did a teaching degree, and I applaud anybody that does any kind of teaching, because actually it's the hardest job ever, and once you become a teacher, you feel like you can do most jobs. So I kind of went into teaching, and I was a primary school teacher to begin with for 4 years, and then I went on and I was a community, I then went on and really expanded my horizons and worked at Charlton Athletic Football Club when they were in the Premiership. When they got knocked out, that's when I left. I was a sports development coordinator there, setting up sports courses for black and ethnic minority groups, mentoring them, working with schools, and doing brilliant work using the power of football to engage with communities. And that was a dream job for me. Then I ended up in a secondary school. I got headhunted. I have that kind of drive as an athlete. I have a kind of performance mindset, marginal gains with everything. I kind of over-delivered on every single job that I had, to be honest, because I got bored really easily. And I wasn't particularly academic, but I got the job done. And I went and I was a community manager in a secondary school, and we were a sports college, and my job was to engage with philanthropists, with the students, with teachers, and really kind of get global citizenship and get the use of sport in school going. And I was promoted to an assistant head within a couple of years. So I became an assistant head teacher very early on in my career at a large secondary school in Eltham. And I'm telling you, it was rough as houses, and it was really, really hard. And I have not done a job just as hard as that ever. And I did that for a number of years, and actually it really kind of sowed the seeds for me. And so I didn't have a plan, but I knew that I had to have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D, and I kind of ended up with my plan D. And for me, my consultancy and the work that I do now kind of stems from my passion for equality. So I'm a woman of colour, my dad's from Guyana, my mum's English. From a very early age, my sister and I am a twin. We experienced lots of racial abuse, and my mum would get spat at in the street for having brown babies. So that sense of injustice was really kind of ingrained within me. So I've strived to be a positive role model and to really, really have those difficult conversations with CEOs of national governing bodies of sport, with organisations to challenge and redress inequalities where I see them.
Well, I think I'm going to hold my question to the end when we have the Q&A. Mark Wright.
Hello.
Hi. So I'm going to give a little spiel, because these spiels are really interesting, and I'm sitting here going, wow. So Climb Online, Apprentice winner 2014. Mark Wright is an entrepreneur, a digital marketing specialist, and founder of Climb Online. When Mark arrived in London at the age of 22 from Australia, he had nearly run out of money and ended up staying at a hostel. In desperate need of employment, he would walk from Victoria to Hammersmith every day handing out his CVs. And after 5 days, he managed to get a job with an internet marketing agency. Mark applied to The Apprentice without ever having watched the show or knowing who Lord Alan Sugar was. After winning The Apprentice in 2014, Mark founded and developed Climb Online with Lord Sugar. In its first year of trading, Climb Online turned over 1.7 million in its first year, and in its second year, it beat its estimated 2.7 million in turnover by producing over 4 million in revenue, making Mark the most successful winner of the BBC series today. I think that deserves a round of applause. So, Mark, since winning The Apprentice, you've been the most successful contestant. What do you think is the secret behind your success?
That's a hell of an introduction. I can probably leave now and let you read out the card and go home. Look, probably a lot of you that watch The Apprentice think, you know, it's not that hard to be the best out of some of the idiots that go on there. But there are some good quality contestants. Out of every 18, there's probably 5 very astute business people there. But the reason I'm probably the most successful, and when we say successful, we only mean financially. A lot of the guys are doing very well. They're doing great things in the sectors they're in. My business makes the most money, but that isn't necessarily the ultimate indicator of success. I think why my company has been so successful is because I picked the right company to be in. I think a lot of people go into businesses and to jobs for the wrong reasons, and my advice to anyone is don't get into a business because your friend Sally is getting into business and it's doing pretty well, or that you look like it's not going to be hard work, or it's just going to be a bit of banter. I think you've really got to have a passion for what you do. If you pick something that you're interested in, now I love making bloody money, right? So I wanted to be rich, so I got into business. So I'm doing what I love every single day, and when it gets hard, and everything gets hard in life, that's why most people give up, right? Because it gets hard, you have a shit day, and then people give up. If you love what you do and you're really passionate about the sector you're in, you have a bad day, but your passion drives you through the hard time, and then you become successful if you do it for long enough. And that's really been the secret, is I got into the right sector. I love digital marketing. I love business. I have the right business partner. Lord Sugar doesn't talk business words to me. He doesn't, make me, I can't read or write. I'm dyslexic. He doesn't make me do any of that. He just talks down to earth, really straight with me. This is what you need to do. This is how much you buy it for. This is how much you sell it for. And it's worked out pretty well so far. So I think why I'm the most successful is because I want it the most, more than the others want it. And I've worked hard because I love what I do.
Wow. Well done. Well done. So our next one is David Vujanik.
That's good. Vujanik.
Social media personality. David Vujanik, known as View, is a comedian and prominent YouTuber who also is the co-star of Copa 90's hugely popular show, FIFA, and Chill and Comments Below. Now, I want to know more about that in a minute. Hold on. View started his social media journey by creating online content mainly featuring Eastern European workers and parodies. Since then, David has been a busy man working in Sky Sports, EE, being a social commentator and making videos which have seen him become a social media sensation, which has seen him gain over 100k YouTube subscribers with over 16 million views.
That all sounds good.
It does. So from coming to the UK as a child, as a refugee, you worked hard to become a familiar face in the UK culture. Could you tell me and our wonderful audience more about your journey, transition into social media, and what factors you feel were behind your success?
Shout out to my mum. She was the one. She kind of backed me. Not a big shout out to my dad. But that's okay. I still love him. We don't really speak a lot. That's okay as well. Anyway, for me, I honestly don't know, because I've never really had a plan. I kind of let my intuition lead me a lot. Numbers are great, but once again, I don't really feel they mean anything unless you feel good in what you're doing and you're kind of following your heart. And I feel the journey has been crazy, and it still continues, and I still don't know anything really. You're kind of learning every day, and I think that's kind of a good approach to take sometimes, is you don't know, every day is new, and a new day, a new opportunity to learn. That's how I've kind of taken it, and an opportunity to grow every time, because from what I made in 2011 when I was doing my parodies and comedy, to now interviewing kind of top football players and looking to now get into documentaries and storytelling and narratives, it's just about following what's true to you, and I think that's what I've been doing, and that's led me to where I'm at right now, and do some great stuff on Copa 90. I was in Russia for the kind of ball launch, the World Cup ball launch. That's amazing. I traveled a lot, which is fucking cool. Sorry for swearing, but yeah, it's life, and really, really got to kind of take it by what it is and try and make the most out of it. So I don't know what's next, and I'm kind of open to whatever the universe brings me.
Okay. Well, we'll be coming back to you also. So next we've got another. Robbie Lyle, founder of, sorry, I'm a bit biased here, Arsenal FanTV. You know. Okay, so we have to get on and be all professional, but yeah, yo Arsenal. Robbie is the founder and presenter of Arsenal FanTV, which he set up in 2012 and has now accumulated more than 200 million views and 400,000 subscribers on YouTube. He is a former BBC reggae radio show host and surveyor who quit his job to focus on Arsenal FanTV full-time. He created the channel with his cameraman Tal, who had also quit his job to pursue a career on YouTube. This YouTube's getting really a lot of play today, isn't it? Arsenal FanTV has experienced unprecedented success, especially for a fan TV channel. What do you feel made the channel so successful, and can we know more about your experiences and what it's been like, your journey to date?
Well, I think what's made it successful is that I think the channel's very real. So we've always, from day one, set out to create something that was real. It's not contrived. And I think we've sort of captured that. We capture the emotion of a football fan travelling up and down the country, following his football team, and all the emotions, you know, attached to that. So I think we're sort of the first people to sort of do that. And when we first started it, you know, even people at YouTube was sort of saying to us, listen, it's not a bad idea, but you'd be lucky if you get 10,000 subscribers. You know, in this sort of football genre, you have to have the rights to football. So you have to have the Premier League rights, or you have to have, you know, but I didn't really make it discourage me, because I just felt that this is something that could work. And yeah, and then we're here now. I mean, just interestingly, I just come from a meeting at Channel 4, and they're talking to us about content. So I just look back on it, and I think, as I walked out of there, I was like, those people who were saying it can't work, you know. So it's a journey, like a lot of these guys have been saying. I mean, I used to work not far from here. One day a week, I worked for Guinness. Their housing association. I used to work there as a surveyor. Then I was based the rest of the time over in northwest London. So when I was walking up here, I was saying, wow, I just remember walking up here to go to work. But it's a journey. When you sort of start off, you have an idea, you have a sort of plan, but you really don't know a lot of the things that are going to happen along the way, a lot of the bad things and a lot of the great things that happen. So it's been an amazing journey.
So there's a word which sort of so far has gone through the passion. So what stage was it when you decided to quit your job?
So I decided to quit my job. I think we must have been about 2.5. So I've been doing this now this is the 5th year of doing it. It was about 2.5 years in, and I was like, number one, it was really hard because I was having to sneak out of work. Luckily, because I was working as a surveyor, I was on the road a lot. Just have to go to people's properties and that. So sometimes I'd go to that property, do stuff, then go to a meeting, go and film something, then put my suit back on, go back to work. And I had to work long hours in order so that at work they didn't realise what I was doing. So it was hard. I mean, we come back from games sometimes and, you know, we started off, we didn't have we borrowed all the equipment when we first started doing it. We had cameras that worked off of tapes. So, you know, we'd sometimes be filming till like 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I had to go to work at 7. Nice. So, as a lot of these guys are saying, you know, initially, you know, well, even now, it's a lot of hard work. But as you said, if you're very passionate about it, if you really love what you're doing, and I think it is very important to choose something that you're really going to love doing, you will always keep going on, because, you know, you think to yourself, I mean, my thing right from the start was I'm not going to focus on making money, I'm going to focus on making good content. And if I make good content, money will come along. And I think that's how you have to sort of be in business. A lot of people get into it and they're just like, money, money, money. And a lot of times it doesn't work out.
It works out sometimes.
Apart from you, well, I need to talk to you then, right? But,
Same.
yeah, but I think sometimes you have to first think about either creating something that's good or creating good content, and then as you start to do that, you're on an amazing journey and things start to happen and you're like, wow. So.
Okay. Francesca Brown, founder of Goals for Girls. So Francesca is the founder of Goals for Girls, a Apprentice Trust ambassador, FA qualified coach and former, becoming a semi-professional footballer. She then won Young Achiever of the Year at the Pride of Britain's Awards 2016. Goals for Girls is a football development program which works with young women aged between 11 and 16, and she has helped coach and develop more than 700 women into professional clubs, colleges and work placements, working closely with organisations like London Youth, Sports England, the FA and Tottenham Hotspurs ladies. Anyway, after a bad injury ended her professional football career, you ended up leaving Manchester for London with just £10 in your pocket to create your own identity. You've previously said that you have a vision of how women should be represented in sports. How do you feel your experiences since then have helped shape your identity? And can you tell us more about the vision you had?
What do my mic works?
Can I see your pack?
Hello. Hi, guys. Sorry, ask the question again.
Just really, it's about your experiences, how it's helped shape your identity, and can you tell us more about the vision you had and how it's developed?
So when I grew up in Manchester, I played semi-professional football, and then I went off to play for Manchester City women's team. I was lucky enough to secure a scholarship to go over to Boston, America, and on my last day of our trials, I had an injury, and even though they gave me a next chance, they turned around and said to me that she's not going to be fit enough to come over, and we'd basically waste our scholarship, basically in so many words, on her rather than giving it somebody who's more fitter. So for me, I went through a process of working so hard at something for the majority of my childhood to then be told, you're not going to go there, you're not going to do that. And I didn't have no plan B. And with the academy I was with, Man City, they never had a backup plan educationally at them times. Now they do for young women, but at them times they didn't. So for me, it was the be-all, end-all. And I suffered from really bad depression at that point, where unfortunately for me, I tried to take my own life. And from that, I kind of had a wake-up call that my purpose didn't lie in sport, and it lies in sport, but it didn't lie there, and it's out there somewhere for me. So I decided to just get up and move to London with £10 in my pocket. I kind of thought that London was the land of opportunity. If I'm going to make it somewhere, I'm going to make it here, because so many doors can open. And so I got up, came here, and I never really had a vision. It was more trial and error. I knew that I wanted to help young people shape their life and their dreams from the impact which happened to me that I couldn't shape mine. So I decided to go into youth and community work. And through that, my journey just came into Goals for Girls. And it was through the fact that a whole heap of young women were coming in from the local community into the youth centre, which I managed. And they were saying, there's nothing in our community, everything's shaped for the boys, what are you going to do about it? And I kind of was like, there's a need here. So I got all the girls sat around the table, they brainstormed their ideas, they told me what they wanted in the local community, and from there we started doing football coaching, football development pathways, and then mentoring, workshops, qualifications, and before you knew it, over 2 years of trialling it, we had shaped a whole programme, and that's what Goals for Girls is today.
And Well, you're definitely not the last one to talk this evening, but I know we heard from you previously. So Alex Wilding. Alex is the winner of UEL's E-Factor 2017 competition. In 2008, Alex began his entrepreneurial journey by forming his own small video production company, creating content for clients such as O2, Yahoo, and more. And he has since achieved a Master's Psychology degree at the University of East London and is a BACP qualified child arts therapist with published thesis. Well, you go. Alongside business partner Paul Hunnigan, Alex co-founded the London documentary network, is it Riot? Is it Riot? Riot. Yeah. A video freelance collective, most recently Vidi Crew. Vidi Crew is an app which enables users to capture video moments of an event on occasions and upload them to their phones and stuff in short films. So, can you tell us more about this light bulb moment you had, Alex?
Which one?
Well, yes, that's true. Let's talk about psychology to develop the Vid Group app.
The Vid Group? Mm. Yeah, is this working? I don't know. So, yeah, I think a lot of you would have heard it already, Vidi, because I spoke about it before, but Vidi Crew, the light bulb moment, me and my current business partner, Paul, we'd already set up a non-profit organisation called the London Documentary Network, which we run with a few other people, and we learned a lot from that, and we also learned a lot about each other and how entrepreneurial we were. So we sat down and that was non-profit, and we were said, it'd be nice to make some money from this and, go into that world. So that's when we sat down. We just literally went through all of our ideas. That's why I said to you, which light bulb moment, because I've had a lot. I think we all probably have. That's the kind of people we are. So yeah, this one in particular, Paul started actually filming weddings with his mobile phone, and that came on top of the pile. I had to put my ego to one side because it was his idea, not mine. I had a few, but I actually thought his one was the best one. And we, as professional video editors, we just felt that fitted for us. So yeah, it came together. And then I kind of had the idea, well, what about using an app to make it work? And it just came from there, really. So yeah, that was the light bulb, and luckily the bulb is still on. And yeah, we went and won the E-Factor competition. And I guess just to let you all know, I'm here representing the first year of startup and being an entrepreneur, because me and Paul, we've really just got going with this. So yeah, the bio you just read is all the other things I've kind of done up to now. But yeah, this is the journey I'm on, is with Vidi Crew.
So I have a question for all of you. So there is a saying that success is a road that is always under construction. So, and as Mark said, I think success is a very interesting word and means different things to different people. What would you say, I mean, I can go along, what would you say, what does success mean and look like for you?
Success. For me, it's whatever you want it to be. It's your own vision. You have to set your own goals and targets, and if you're satisfied with that, then that's success. And it depends how hard you want to push yourself. And me personally, I push myself very hard, and I've got a long way to go, to be honest. And I've learned as I've gone along that I'll probably never get to a point where I think I'm successful. I've achieved a lot of things already that I thought were success for me, but I'm still pursuing more. So yeah, that's kind of, what's the question? It was what? Yeah, what does it mean for me? It's whatever you want it to be, and you need to set your own targets. So for me, yeah, that's just something that I'll keep chasing, and I'll probably never settle and say I am successful. I like to keep driving for more, but I will have kind of points along the way where I will acknowledge my successes, but I keep striving for more. Yeah.
I suppose for me, my work is all about making a positive contribution and making a change to something, and usually about trying to redress some kind of inequalities. So after I kind of moved on from working in a school, I worked at local authority management in Greenwich. I did lots of work there developing strategy and engaging young people in all sorts of different things, especially around the Olympic Games. So I created lifelong learning moments for young people to be a part of the opening and closing ceremonies, to do just extraordinary things. And so the work that I do now, actually the consultancy that I do is on my own terms. So for me, success is where I add to something, or I've contributed to something that's made a difference, that has a positive outcome for an individual or for communities. And sometimes that's just asking a question. Sometimes it's asking a very, very basic question. Why have you not included that woman of colour in that shortlisting? I've included her, why haven't you? I was on this shortlisting group the other day. I was on a panel for a recruitment for a very top organisation, a very elite organisation in this country, and nobody answered that question. Now, I was really tired that day. No, I'm not going to name it. I was really tired, and you know, the work around oppression and dealing with racism and sexism is hard, you know. I'm not going to say it's easy. The intersections of both of those inequalities and how they intersect is difficult. So some days you can't fight every battle. And this particular day, I couldn't do it. I just didn't have the emotional capacity to do it. So I just asked the question. There was no answer to that question. I turned up the following week to sit on this panel, and by the grace of God, this woman was actually on the list to be interviewed. And the people that I was sat around the table with said it was a clerical error as to why she got to be on that list. And I was like, oh, really? Okay. Oh, that's... And I know the administrator well, and I thought, I'd asked the question, nobody had answered me, everybody had ignored me, but the administrator, the person who had the least amount of power in the organisation, slid this woman into the list for the interview because I asked a question. Now, I didn't do anything else. I didn't go back to them and say, why haven't you answered me? I didn't shout and scream because I didn't have the energy to do it. I was looking after my own mental health. She came into that interview. She was the last person to be interviewed. Everybody on the panel was cussing. Why are we here? It's late. It's 7 o'clock. Why are we having to interview this woman? Accidentally, the woman came in and she blew everybody else out of the water. She was magnificent. So for me, success is each and every one of those little things that I get to play a little bit of a part in. And it kind of, those things build up and there's an accumulation. And when we talk about issues to do with oppression, sometimes we can lose hope. But I know that those things make a big difference. And that woman is going to just be on fire when she joins that organisation.
Yay! Robbie.
For me, it's just, it's quite simple with me. It's just when your hard work is paying off, then you feel that you're being successful. So we put a lot of hard work into what we're doing. And when you start to see that paying off, when you start to see people recognising what you do, enjoying what you do, I think then you start to say, right, well, we're being successful here because people are really recognising it, really enjoying it, you know, and yeah, your hard work's paying off.
For me, it's kind of what has already been echoed, but I think I got asked this question the other month and it still resonates today. I think success to me, I need to be able to be happy and free. So like happiness and freedom are like the two main components of what success is to me. I don't think success is a destination, and I always thought it was over the last couple of years. I always thought, oh, once I get this, or once I achieve that, or once I have felt the ramification of X, Y, or Z, then I'm successful and I'll know what success is. But it's not the case. That I am successful, and anything that now comes is added on to my success, and it heightens that level of success. And the reason why I say happiness and freedom more importantly than happiness is because I think when I was coming up and working within the industry, I always got told that I need to, you know, have agents or people that help you with your vision. And I remember walking into one agency and it was like, amazing roster of talent on that agency. I was about 21, 22 at the time. And they took a meeting with me and I thought, my dreams are going to come true. I'm going to be able to land all the amazing radio gigs that I want, the acting roles that I want to get and do. And then they just didn't understand. And they turned around and they said, oh yeah, I could see you being like the Asian version of Joey Essex. And I was just left confused because I was like, I didn't say that I wanted to do that. And they said, yeah, but you can make a lot of money. And I was like, but that's not what I'm doing this for, you know? And that just made me realize what I don't want at a very young age. So I'm glad I went through that. And another story, just so that this whole talk, and the reason why I wanted to do it, because it was about building brand you and how important it is to be you, no matter where you go and what you do. And I've had to understand that. And I think we get to know ourselves better year on year as we get older. We know what we like, we know what we don't like, we know what we'll stand for, we know what we'll say no to. And whilst I was coming up, I got some advice of someone saying, my name's Mim Shaikh, so it rhymes like a milkshake, right? So people say when you write the word shake in Google, you have to spell it S-H-A-K-E. You have to change the spelling of your surname. And my surname is like, it's quite a powerful surname because it's attributed to Arabian wealth, like the Arabs. And I fell into the trap of listening to them. And I actually started spelling my name as if you would spell it like a milkshake. S-H-A-K-E, thinking, oh, it's brandable. This will be my brand. It's going to work wonders in the future. And I just felt like an absolute idiot after like a couple of weeks after doing it and seeing it. And it just didn't feel right. And I changed it back to what is my name and realized from that point that nobody can hold the power over you, and that the power ultimately is within you, and that should always be a component of success. So like happiness, freedom, and I guess individuality as well is like my main components of what success is.
Yeah, I think Mim, me and Mim sometimes meet up and have coffees like once a month, and we like do this whole like
Not milkshake.
And we kind of talk about things, and I would echo kind of what Mim says. For me, yeah, freedom, happiness, and inner peace. I think inner peace is very important. You know, when people mention numbers, I kind of cringe a little bit because I've had the experiences of, you know, I'm 25 now, I was 19 when I started. It's like, yeah, I get 1 million views. Yeah. And then you get it and you're like, nothing's changed. And then I was like, yo, I'm going to go viral. I'm going to do this thing and it's going to go so viral. I got all this attention and I was like, nothing's changed again. And then the next thing happened and I was like, this isn't bringing me happiness. And then, oh my God. And then you're kind of like, and you realize that none of it brings you happiness. Then I got paid more money and I was like, yeah, didn't bring me happiness. Do you know what I mean? And then I think we sometimes overemphasize numbers and being in a place. And institutions, we kind of seek validation sometimes, I'd say, from wrong places. Because a lot of us on this panel are ethnic minorities and we come from different countries and we feel like, yeah, when they recognize me, when I'm on TV, when I'm on the Hollywood, no, I'd say this, do you, like, you know? And then when you do you, that's when they want you. You know, because why is it now grime is popping? Because we kept doing us. Like, you know, that undercurrent of creativity, which is raw. You know, the 696 form got dropped the other day. And it's like, good, that was never meant to be around anyway. So that's what it is, I feel, that's the most powerful, is when we're authentic to ourselves and we're not trying to maybe pander to be somewhere else. So really, you know, it might not be the time yet. And timing is crucial as well. And then that inner peace, I think, for me, because in moments where my life maybe wasn't going the best, but I had a peace, I felt greater and better than, you know, happiness and success. I don't think, even though the results are outward, it's the inner work that really brings you the success, because success is determined by you. And I don't think numbers, money, any of that will matter. You know, even if you make £0, I would rather be the homeless man that has the inner peace than be the guy in the penthouse with a helicopter. So I say, look after that.
Mark's looking at
I mean, no, but you know what? Metrics of success are different. And if for him it's the helicopter and he's got the inner peace, I'd rather be him then. But, you know, so...
I'd rather have inner peace in the penthouse.
Yes. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Up there.
Or that as well. But yeah, that's my kind of 2 pence.
Francesca?
For me, defining success is, I went and I did a talk the other day at the Manchester United ground and in front of a whole heap of young people, and one question, which is great, which you just asked, is, what do you define success as, Francesca? And for me, I think that if you ain't been through failure, and you haven't been through those trials, tribulations, those challenges, those depressive moments, those brick walls, that every time you knock on that door and they say, no, you can't. If you ain't been through that and you think that life is going to be easy, I don't think you're ever going to find what is your ultimate goal. And I think goal setting for me is a key part to my success. Without goal setting, I think to myself that every time I reach a pinnacle, if I don't set another goal, then I'm not going to feel that much more enlightened as an individual. As you said before, is one key part of my program is giving back to young people and showing them that setting and achieving goals is key in life, for them to reach wherever their vision is. So for me, if I don't relay that on for myself, what example am I showing to the young people I'm working with? So a lot of young women, people think, oh, she's on telly, she won the Pride of Britain Award, she's met all these famous people, she does this, does that, she flies around the country and the world talking to all these people and all these young people from all over the world. But for me, that isn't the key part of my program or what I was put here, my purpose to do. And my key to success is every time I go out of my front door and I'm an example to my young child and I go out there and give every young person I work with a breath of hope that they can reach and achieve their goals in a safe environment, that for me is success. And there's a young woman who I worked with who I will always remember, and she came to me and she was from care. And everyone's got their own story to tell in life, to what journey they've been on. And she came to me and she said that she's going to fail her exams. She's in care. She's going through a really bad patch at the moment where she's just been introduced to her mother again and she doesn't know how to take that on board. And she was literally entering into year 11 and all this stuff had just hit her at once. And she came onto the Goals for Girls development program seeking to set and achieve small goals. And what we did is we sat down with her, and rather than saying to her, listen, this is your ultimate goal, you want to be a solicitor, let's start with the baby steps. Let's work you towards this. And like everyone has said on this board, with starting with the baby steps and reaching one goal, you'll get to another goal because your drive and determination will just only get stronger and stronger and stronger. And now she's left school. She qualified with 8 A-star to C GCSEs, and through our development program, she's gone off now to play for Barking Abbey Academy, and she's flown over to America and she's spent 3 months over there living out, not only studying, but also living out a dream within football. And she never ever, when she entered the program, she never would have thought, she was not the greatest player, but she's the player which has gone on further because she has set and achieved her goals and she has believed in herself. And I just think, for me, it's all about believing yourself, having self-discipline, and again, inner peace. You've got to be so happy with what you're doing and be peaceful with it as well. So
that really is success, isn't it, when you see that kind of example of someone who's gone on to do such great things.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
I think that was the 6 best definitions of success I've ever heard. It's fantastic advice everyone's receiving tonight. I think, everyone is trying to find success, aren't they? Everyone's just trying to be happy. And I think one of the things I reflect with is, I went on the TV and then all of a sudden you get on the tube and everyone wants a selfie, and then you're on telly and then you make a heap of money, then you own all these businesses and all of this stuff, and doesn't account for shit if you're not happy. It really doesn't add up. And you know, the best definition I found today is you've just got to be happy and free. That was the best definition I've ever heard. You could not pay me all the money in the world to sit in this lecture theatre and do education or work for somebody else. I just wouldn't do it because I don't like that. And I think for me, life is about being happy, doing what you enjoy, and just, you know, relaxing and enjoying the ride. Because I found at school, I fucking hated school, right? It wasn't the right environment for me. You couldn't do what you wanted, people telling you what to do all the time, but you couldn't lose there, right? So everyone was keeping you like society. You couldn't fall too far behind because your parents would prop you up, the teachers would prop you up. Then at university, it's the same. And then you get out in the real world and there's no one home. If you're a shit person, you're done. You just fall down, right? And if you listen to something that's happened to all of us, we've all been really low at some point. Most of us have been broke. Most of us have been homeless. Some people have tried to take their own lives. And I believe there's two types of people. Everyone goes down there at some point. And that's the point you define who you are. You find out who you really are. And some people give up. They go on to benefits. They really look for somebody else to answer the problem. And the people on this panel got down there like everyone's going to. You're going to have bad times. And then they said, right, I can be down here and look for somebody else or give up, or I can just sort this out and do what I want to do. And at that point, you get to the panel. And I think that happened to me. I ran out of money. I was in the line in Australia to the thing that we sign up to benefits. And I was looking at the people in the line and I thought, pull your head in, man. Is this what you're going to be? Is this your life? Are you just going to work a job? Are you going to get benefits and all of this stuff? Or can you just go out there and find what you want to do, grind, and enjoy life? And if you just enjoy it, you're successful anyway. And that's what I did.
So do we have any questions for the audience, from the audience?
This is a question for all of you, actually, and it kind of links in with what some of you said about the inner peace. What kind of things or what habits do you practice sort of outside your business areas? Because you're all successful in your own right. But what kind of things, what good habits could you advise everybody here in terms of staying grounded, keeping centred, and to motivate you and keep, sort of balancing that sort of baseline happiness that everyone talks about?
I think meditation. Oh, sorry.
I was about to say that, you know.
It's about a bit loud to kind of say that at the same time. Meditation helps a lot in being able to. I mean, I used to watch a lot of interviews with a lot of successful people talk about it, and like didn't really understand what they were talking about. When I was younger, I just thought they were a bit weird to be able to do something like that. And then ever since I started going to acting class and actually really understanding about living in the moment, being present. Being able to listen attentively to every single word that is uttered by someone else and not being in your head so much, it gave me a lot of good standing when going out into the world and taking meetings and being on the radio and doing all of these different creative things. So like I wake up in the morning and I have like 10, 15 minutes just to myself before I pick up a phone call or I reply to an email or I go to work, just so that how am I today? How am I feeling? Or it's a bit sad. Oh, it's a bit, why is that? Okay, cool, I have to live with that today. Let's keep it moving. But I know where I am, you know? Whereas before I just, let me get up and go do this, and the other. So that's helped me a lot.
And also I think if you walk out on the street and just grab any random person and say, you know, what are your goals? They can't tell you. Most people's goal is just to survive each day. I think if you know where you're going in life, if you have goals and you focus on what you want, when it's achieved, you find happiness because you're accomplishing things. If you don't know what you want, you can't be happy because you're never really accomplishing anything. You're just surviving. So if you look after your mind and your body and you're achieving things that you want to, you know, find purpose in life, you'll be happy.
It's also to do with being grateful. It's about gratitude as much as anything. So those moments of joy that come, actually it's about being grateful and thankful for them. And even those moments when things don't go well, because actually they are the lessons for you to grow and to learn and to figure out, actually, that has been a terrible experience, but within that, there is that really, really valuable lesson for you. So I would, I would say meditation. I do meditation. I'm doing a Deepak and Oprah one at the moment, a 30-day one, which is really powerful. I do I write down on my phone every night 3 things that I'm grateful for. And they are the smallest things. And actually in the world, it is the smallest things that make the big difference. So it's green lights all the way through. I've got a new car. It's the leather seats and the heated seats. It's the fact that really tall 6'8" man smiled at me and gave me a wink. It's the smallest things.
You're welcome.
Smallest things that give me joy. And actually those are the things that actually build up. And actually reaching out to the people that we love most. So when you reach out every single day, however you choose to do it, that puts you in that space of love. And so those 3 things make a massive difference in terms of my daily practice.
I was just from that, sorry, I was just going to say networks, for me, it's about having because it's been a very lonely experience so far since we won the competition, actually. We were up high and then we've kind of realised that actually we're alone with this, carrying this weight. So I would say, and I've just noticed at weekends I've kind of been more selective with who I see, rather than just seeing my old mates who I get on with but don't give me, to be honest, they don't really know me. So I've kind of found the people that I really know and really will talk to me in the tough times and hear me. So yeah, I just say, that, like you said, that reaching out to the people you love, I've realised who my real friends are since in the tough times, and I know that they're there, and it's really important to have that network around you. So yeah.
I was gonna just say, with me, it's my family. So yeah. I've got kids, my wife. They keep me grounded. You can come home and say, "Oh, guess what I did today?" And, "Oh, Dad, can you help me with this?" My homework or something like that. So they keep me fully grounded, and it's perfect. When you got your family around you. Mine in particular, they just keep me properly grounded.
Can I jump on that? So basically for me, is one great one here is meditation. But I can't really do it like you because I've got a 6-year-old little boy, so he kind of, unless I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, he is the first one to wake me up, very frantic, running around the house, mummy, 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 mummy. So I think to myself, I wake up in a kind of a daze sometimes, so I can't have them 15 minutes to myself. But a lot of things I do when I do have my spare time is meditation and gratitude. I do look at, like, for example, my child and the things I've got around me, and I kind of reflect. Reflection for me is just massive because you don't understand your own achievements until someone comes to you in your face and says, "Wow, did you you're fantastic. I can't believe that you've won this." And for me, it wasn't the Pride of Britain Award which got me thinking to myself, "Wow, I've really achieved this." It was mainly all the small accolades which came before that, so the Businesswoman of the Year and things like that, and the Offside Rule Pod Woman of the Year and things like that, which kind of thought, oh, I must be doing something right in society. So then when the Pride of Britain Award came, it was very unexpected, but I was so thankful. And I wasn't thankful because of the fact that I felt like I achieved so much. I was thankful because I felt like I could be the person of ethnicity who stood up on that stage, got presented by HRH himself. And I've been, if you look back in the whole of Pride of Britain Awards, I'm the only woman of ethnicity to ever win the Pride of Britain Award. So for me, that was an achievement. So all them young women I work with who think that they can't achieve or they've hit that brick wall, to turn around and say, if she can do it, I can do it. So for me, staying grounded. So these young people make me stay grounded. Going into some schools, you might find with a lot of entrepreneurs that once they hit big, they are in the back office and they ain't doing the groundwork no more. They're letting everyone else do it. For me, it ain't about that. I may be earning the money, but I'm still on the ground. Like just a minute ago, I came from a session because I still want to be face to face with these young people, because you'll never realise what they need, what they want, unless you're there on the ground with them. So just quickly, a quick story is when I won the Pride of Britain Award, a young lady reached out with me from Manchester, and she sent a Facebook message through to the business, and she was like, "Oh, you are my inspiration. I was about to give up on my dreams of playing football. I would love for you to come and meet me." And the obvious question was, does your mum know you're messaging me? She said, yeah. So I said to her, if you get your school to bring me in, I will come and visit you. Now, her mum sent me a video over, which went semi-viral, not like these guys viral, and of when she seen my message come back, she burst into tears, and she couldn't believe that I actually messaged her back. So I got up and went to the school and did a surprise visit for her and about 18 of her friends, which was kept quiet for about 2 months. And knowing that I was the inspiration for the girl and it wasn't Beyonce, Rihanna and things like that, it keeps you grounded to show that people on my level are still inspiring a whole generation of young women. Finally, goal setting. I have a vision board at home, and every year I print out maybe new things, I do a bucket list, and I write achievements for that year, which I need to do, and I set all my goals out. So for the year, I made something crazy. I may want to go skydiving, or I may want to go and visit something, and I'll set that on my goals. And it may be something small as I'm going to get a dog for my little boy. And I get my little boy to do it as well, so the whole household is setting and achieving goals. And we all have our own vision board. So my partner has a vision board, my little boy has a vision board. His vision board is, I want a transformer, or I want to join this football team, or something like that. But it's getting him in the mindset of setting and achieving goals and getting them. And for me, that is key. If you wake up every day and you see your vision, you're going to achieve it, and you're going to drive for it. So for me, that's another key.
Thank you. Oh, you can shout. Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to know, most of you guys mentioned you didn't have no plan from your beginning. So, and all of us are sitting here and seeking to be there in that panel in the future. Are you suggesting us to have a plan or just rely on our luck?
No, I had a plan.
Yeah, same. So did I.
So did I, until it went wrong.
So
At least I can remember 5 of you.
Yeah.
You didn't have no plan and it just came up like that.
What I was saying is that I had a plan, and you have your plan, but it's not going to work out strictly how your plan is, right? So like with my plan, in my head I had this plan, and there were certain things I was doing with regards to that plan. But things start to happen. Some of them are bad things. In that, you know, these things that you didn't expect because you don't know about those pitfalls. And then there's other things that are like really incredible things. Like, wow, I didn't know Ian Wright would know who I am. I used to worship this guy when I was a kid. The guy's coming up to me. So there's just things that start to happen that your plan that you make is not strictly going to go like that. But I do think, yeah, it's good to try and set out a plan and have, like you said, goals. I also have a vision board. I have it on my phone every morning. I wake up, I look on that as well. So, but you can't, all I'd say is your plan, don't make it too rigid. And if it doesn't go exactly to that plan, don't be put off by that, because I prefer to look on it more as a journey than a rigid plan, because it's not going to go exactly how your plan is. And don't get disheartened if it doesn't really work out that way.
I think it's different for different people as well. So like, I knew I was going to university and studying broadcast journalism, and I knew there was something about TV, radio, or the media industry that I wanted to work in. At the time, I thought it was something else. And then once I studied, I realized, okay, it's within radio presenting. And when I graduated, my plan, strictly number top, was get a show on BBC Radio. That was just my plan. But then whilst on the route to that plan, these other opportunities start opening up, and you see that you're on this road here, but then a door's opened here or a door's opened here, and you're like, oh, I like where that's going, and I also like where that's going. So maybe
in 5 years' time, you could be on TV. And that could be, you could be like, wow, this is my favourite. I love TV.
Exactly.
Your plan,
it shifts.
Your initial plan for radio might have changed to something else.
Yeah.
So,
and it's true, because if I never if I never stuck to that plan, I wouldn't have been able to get the opportunities or see things that have now opened up into my life that I really want to go and achieve. So I think it's different for everyone, but if it depends on how your mind works, right? If you're very intuitive and you like going with the flow and based off feeling, then you can do it that way. Or you could stick to a regimented plan, but it could also open opportunities through other doors.
So I think one of the things is important to recognise is when I talked about not having a plan, I talk to young people about this all the time. There's always this pressure. What do you want to become? Who do you want to be in the world? Actually, I had no idea. I just knew that I liked sport and I liked young people and I wanted to make a difference with my life. And so I kind of then went into those areas of work that would take me into those bits, those particular topics. And that's where opportunities then opened themselves up. So even though I said I didn't have a plan, my plan was, right, I'm going to have to do this because I wanted to become an Olympic champion in the 400 metres. I just wasn't fast enough. There was no way I was going to get an international vest. It just wasn't going to happen. But the world and the way it works is actually my life has taken a direction where I now work with elite athletes. And I'm actually still working with some people I would never have thought that I would work with. So my life has kind of gone this roundabout way. And I'm still at that place where I wanted to be initially because I've stood in my truth of actually saying, right, I love sport, I want to be in this arena. How can I ensure that I do that? Well, let me just kind of put myself in this bit here, which is close enough. So I kind of went to my plan D because I failed so much on the way to it, but I did have a plan at that point. And it was just to kind of put myself as close as possible. And when we do that, I was in a training group with some very kind of quite famous athletes at the time, and I wasn't any good. I was rubbish, but I got to go to the States. I went and I trained in the States with some elite athletes. I remember really, really clearly, I was training at UCLA, and I was like, there was Roger Black down there was this person there, and I'm like, who is that woman? And I was like, well, you know, and I had every right to be there because the only reason I got to go there is because I wrote to the Prince's Trust and I begged them for some money because, as you know, one-parent family had no money, and at 16, I wrote to the Prince's Trust and said, you need to give me 500 quid for my airfare. And that's how I got there. And I slept on someone's floor for 4 days until somebody gave me a bed. That's how committed I was to being around these superstars. And then I kind of got the juice that, you know, I realised that I just was never going to be good enough. But, you know, essentially, your plan could take you in all sorts of different directions.
It's quite astounding, really, that they've put together 7 people from all around the world in different sectors, in different industries. We all meditate. We all have vision boards. We all give back. I mean, if you don't get the pattern here, if you watch Bake Off tonight and there's a recipe for a thing, and you follow the recipe, you get the dish, I'd be writing all of this shit down because it's worked 7 times over. It might work 8 times. It's really crazy how similar we all are. I'm a mentor for the Prince's Trust because, you know, I got a lot of help when I was coming through, and we want to give back. And I don't think that's something we spoke about enough tonight. I think the reason we're all here tonight is not because we're getting paid or any of this stuff. We want to come and help other people because we, all 7 of us, were sat there watching people in a panel like this, and only if one of you goes home and applies something you've learned, you can so easily be here. I sit around a board table with Alan Sugar every day and talk about hundreds of millions of pounds. I can't believe I'm in the room. I'm like, oh my God, he said 100 million pounds. That's mental. How am I here? I can't even spell. And it's just the ability to work hard and believe in yourself. And when the plan changes, enjoy it and just roll with it, because everyone has a plan and everyone's plan goes wrong, and most people give up at that point. Just keep going and it'll work out. You'll be on the panel next year.
I was going to say, yeah, because I definitely said I didn't have a plan, and I didn't. But basically, I didn't. I still don't. And these guys have just reminded me, be more grateful, because I don't think I have been recently. And I've got to be honest, I haven't. And I'm too in my head as well sometimes. And I think it's so easy to forget, man, that you're alive. and you're living, and like we're on this earth, and like we're not gonna be here one day. Like one day we're all gonna be somewhere else, whatever you believe in, etc. But like I was at university, and for my like sixth form to university journey, my plan was like I'm going to Birmingham University, and I only put that down as a choice. I was like, this is my uni. I'm gonna do international relations at Birmingham, and I missed out. The results they came. And I was like, yeah, I know I got my ABB. And I opened the thing and it's like declined. I was like, what do you mean I didn't get it? What? I got my A. And then I call up and they're like, yeah, you missed out by 1 mark on an A. I was like, what? 1 mark? And he goes, it wasn't even 1 mark, it was a UMS mark, which is 0.3%. I was like, come on, man, they'll let me in. Like, what? I've got to take it. Like, what am I going to do now? I haven't even got a second choice. And then I called up Birmingham and they're like, yo, no, it's full. This is like 2 years before they were going to increase the fees. So everybody was applying. Didn't get in. So I was like, okay, well, I don't want to go through clearing because I just don't want to. So, okay, let me just go get a job, And I went and worked in retail. And then my passion was like, I really want to make videos that entertain people. That's kind of what, these YouTube things about. People make stuff. I could just make videos. And then I ended up making videos. That picked up online. And then eventually, before I went to university, I went again, I got my A. I didn't go to Birmingham. I went to Essex. Not a great university. It looks like a North Korean prison camp. I've got to be honest, the buildings are like 1950s, and there's like 70 of you in one floor, which I didn't really understand. And everybody gets drunk, and I'm like, why am I here? When I eventually got there. But, I went to uni, and there was an opportunity to present on this football channel, YouTube, Copper 90. My friend Poet rings me. He's like, they need like a co-presenter. Would you come down? I was like, all right, I've just started uni. I'll do it. And we got the job. And then 5 years later, I've just come back from Russia. I've met like Neymar, Gerrard, Lampard, all these heroes. I've played at Wembley Stadium and all these fantastic, amazing things that me as a kid would have just dreamed of. And I remember I was at university, shout out to bumping trains, did that every week, traveling, back and forth to London, doing my degree, trying to do my degree, trying to copy my friend. You got to work your way around all these perceived obstacles. And so it definitely wasn't that kind of plan, and I kind of went with life. And I'm on a panel here with some amazing people, and thank you guys for reminding me of what sometimes we forget. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely, do what you love. I think that's the plan, and then hopefully it takes you somewhere. Yeah.
Bump bear trains. Nothing. Yeah. Travel party.
Hi. So I forgot my question for a second. Yeah, I'm an aspiring film director, and I'm struggling to kind of just get my name out there. What do you suggest will be the best way for anybody to get their name out there and start their brand or start their business or whatever?
Make something, no matter how rubbish or inexperienced or lack of resources you have, just make something and keep making and making and making and making, and you'll see through the pattern of just creating that what you started off making was rubbish, and you'll turn around and you'll say it because what you made afterwards, after weeks on months and years, is amazing. And then being able to just get that in front of the right people. I mean, when I was at university, I always thought my radio interviews were rubbish, and I thought my voice sounded terrible, and I just thought I wasn't a great broadcaster. And then there was an amazing broadcaster called Ira Glass, who's got an amazing podcast in America. And he had this quote that I just found once, which was, set yourself on a deadline of creating something every single week. So if you want to be a film director, just make short films every single week on your phone with your friends and just see where that could end up taking you. Because I started recording interviews every single week with artists, politicians and people, and just trying to fine tune that skill and got that in front of the right people that then allowed me to get a job doing what I love just by setting myself on a deadline. So that might be able to help.
Yeah, I'd agree with a lot of that. It's just about being consistent. So you've got to consistently create content. And obviously at first, nobody doesn't really know who you were. It was the same for us. But as you start to, like you just said, as you start to create content on a consistent basis, And if the content's good, because it has to be good, if people are going to enjoy it, you start creating it on a consistent basis, it will start to get out there, and use the platforms that are available now. I think it's an amazing time that you've got all of these platforms that are free. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
I do post on YouTube. Actually.
Yeah. So, use them and consistently post content, and, come up with great contents, make it relevant, and just keep doing it. And, eventually, if it's good, it will get picked up.
Have you got a mentor?
Sorry? Oh.
Yeah, I've got one for Apprentice Trust, but he's not really into film.
Yeah, you need to find, I think the key thing is you need to get to like a film expo or an industry event and cling on to someone who is big and has connections. The film industry is something where you need to know people. The equipment's expensive. It's like an old boys club. But the way I've always found, and the people I mentor and work with, is you need to find someone who's got the results you're looking to achieve yourself and ask that person to mentor you. I mentor 4 people that want to be business people. There will be film producers out there that are local to London that are being successful that will help you out and might put you on, and you can just watch what they do, watch how they work, and you'll start to meet people and understand how the systems in that sector work, and then you can break through that way as well. But it's so hard just if you don't know what to do, to do something, and it feels like you're this busy fool. If you can get someone says, well, you need to use this, you need to go here, you need to be at this event, you need to know Fred, and then all of a sudden it gets a little easier. So I'd say get a mentor that is in the sector who's achieving something, and they will become your mentor by you just asking them, generally through LinkedIn or going to an industry event.
Do you make documentaries? What kind of films?
Right now, because I have several ideas. So music videos, horror films, action, comedy, anything. Really.
Documentaries, we can help. We run the London Documentary Network, and we
I have a documentary idea.
You have one?
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to us after. We can invite you to our next event.
Definitely.
It's a good networking opportunity.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yes, hi. I myself and my obviously co-host here, we do a podcast. We've been doing it now since January. So again, we believe consistency is longevity. So what do you feel about when you're putting content out there, and then let's say an external party comes along and wants to invest into your idea, but there's some elements of you compromising? Where do you stand, obviously, as a...
Can I go on this one?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so I'm not obviously a YouTuber, podcaster, or anything like that. But I run a quite large development program, and the public sector, just had a massive pay cut. And for me, it was either I go down in my price for my program and offer it to the schools at a lower budget, or I stick to my guns and know what my worth is and just keep it going. Yeah. We lost a few contracts on the way, but at the same time, I know the worth of the program. I know how hard it took for us to build it. So there's never, ever, ever a chance I will ever compromise my program 100. Because I know its worth. Yeah. So I don't think you should, if you believe in something that much, don't compromise it, because there'll always be somebody out there who will buy into it, invest into it, and believe in it as much as you do. Yeah. So.
That's right. Thank you.
I'd second that as well. We on Arsenal FanTV, I remember going to a meeting one time with a company, and they were like, Robbie, if you join our network right now, when you leave, we'll deposit 25 grand into your account. And I was there, it's me and my business partner, we was there, it was like, oh, it sounds all right, man. So I said to me, I'll come back to you. No, sorry, I said to him, no, actually, after listening to what they had to say, it was not a bad proposition, but I was like, feeling the same way like you guys are, like, we're kind of going to be giving away
100.
Some of the stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
And I said to him, you know what, on this occasion, I'm going to have to say no. And I remember we left that meeting, to walk into Covent Garden Station. I turned around to my partner and said, I just turned down 25 grand into my account. I've got about 100 quid in it. What am I doing? But I think sometimes you gotta, like, you know, if you know what you're doing is going to be good, is going to be on point, stick with it. I mean, try not to make money, you know, because it could be what you think it's worth. There's other people out there that, you know, it could be worth way, way more than that. Yeah. And a lot of the times when you're first starting out, you don't really know the true value because you're fresh into the business, especially in the media business. You don't know the value sometimes of what you've got and what you're doing. And you got people out there that do know the real value of it, and they say to themselves, you know what? If we make a little move on these guys now and we dangle a little money in front of their face, they'll sell it up, or they'll give us half. And you've got to be really, really conscious of that, and you know, speak to people in the industry, speak to people, you know, in business,
like yourself and that, yeah.
Yeah, you can speak to me, because you know, honestly, we've been through it several times where we've had like a couple of the offers have been very, very big offers. Well, the funny thing is, when I look back on them now, they weren't big offers. They were rubbish. But at the time, when I was getting offered that money, I was like, hey, that's all right. You know, but you just have to just do not, and I know it sounds easy to say, but try not to focus on the money. Even now with me, I try not to focus on money. It's not all about money. Obviously, I want to make as much money as possible for what we're doing, but it can't all be about money because, as I said, there's very skilled people in this media business that, you know, they can persuade you or they can get chunks of your business relatively cheap. Yeah. So be very mindful of that.
The question I wanted to ask is, I guess it kind of relates to, it's more of a trust question. What I've learned myself through my experience is that not so much to rely on people doing jobs for you, to kind of learn how to do certain jobs yourself. So rather than going out and paying for someone to hold a camera, to shoot for you, to film for you, might not hit YouTube. There's those tutorials on how to do things now for free. Teach yourself how to do certain things, so you haven't got to rely on other people's times tables to get certain things done. But also there comes to a point where you can't do everything yourself, and you need to kind of rely on a second person or third person to do certain things for you. So the question I wanted to ask is kind of, at what point do you, any one of you guys got this question, in your journey, did you have to kind of sit back and say, I can't do everything myself, I need to now trust and rely and bring in other people to help you do certain things to get the job done?
Well, it's a question of money, isn't it? Because everyone costs money. And when you start out, you don't have any money. So my first employee, the lady who's my second in charge now of all my companies, she worked for me for free. For the first couple of months she worked for me. But the key is identifying what you need to be doing, and what you should be doing is the things you're best at, your strengths. A lot of people try and do everything, including the stuff they're bad at, okay? The key thing is try and outsource the things you don't like doing or you're bad at. So the things that are low value, that you don't enjoy, get somebody else to do those as soon as you can afford it, and concentrate on the key elements of your business, the ones that are going to get you in front of the right people, the ones that are going to make the most money, and the ones that you're good at. That's the most important thing. And get rid of the jobs that you can't do or you don't enjoy, and that you can get rid of outsource low value.
Yeah, and I second that as well. That's so important. I mean, like, when I first started doing this business, I knew nothing about filming, editing. I had to learn how to do that. I didn't even have a Facebook, YouTube page, nothing. So learned everything along the way. But as you said, at first you have to do everything because you can't afford nobody else. So you have to do it. So that's where, you know, a lot of people say when you first start business, it's really hard because you're doing a lot of stuff even some of the things you do you don't particularly enjoy, but you have to because you cannot afford to employ someone to do it. But as the business starts to grow, and we're kind of going through that at the moment, you then need to start to bring in. I remember I read something from P. Diddy, and he was saying that get the right people in to do the right jobs. So with us now, as we're starting to grow, as we're starting to make more money, I'm starting to bring in people in various areas to do the jobs where I feel that I don't have the expertise in, you know? And that's very important because you cannot do everything. And you have to get to a stage where you try and concentrate on the stuff that you're really good at and that you really enjoy, like you said. And then, you know, I hate doing finances and that. Bring somebody else in who's an expert at that. Employ an accountant who's an expert at that, right? And you might, at the time when you've got to pay the money, you think to yourself, what? How much? But that accountant will save you a lot of money long term because he knows what he's doing. That's what he does. That's what he's an expert at, you know? So, you know, you have to start bringing in the right expertise, but only really when you can afford it. Because remember, when you're starting off, you're running on a tight budget. So you've got to be a lot of things to start off with.
But also, just to add there, it's also about kind of really investing in your people, and it's essentially it's about distributed leadership. Because if I'm kind of trying to think about what's behind your question, actually we have to let go of control of how we want our programs to run. So I do a lot of advisory, consultancy work at a strategic level, and I've done lots of kind of sport and social change work in my past, and I decided that I still wanted a bit of that in my portfolio. So I went off and got some funding and have developed a gender empowerment girls basketball inspiration program. I employ sports coaches and I employ tutors to run stuff very similar to what Francesca does in schools. But it's very different because it's being run in the Michelle Moore way. And the Michelle Moore way isn't the traditional way in which it needs to be run. And so my sports coaches and my tutors have to be taught what that means. That means we will talk to young people in this particular way. We will give out Dove body wipes to every single young woman who takes part before she's going to take part in sport, because we know that she doesn't want to sweat in sport because she's got to get through the rest of the day. There are all sorts of things. We'll give out a deodorant at the end of every session. We'll do all sorts of things. And actually, what I'm doing is I'm training my tutors and my sports coaches in the way I want them to be leaders. So I'm letting go. And today, we had a session, and the coach didn't turn up, and I had all the basketballs in my car, which is my new car, which I was a little bit unhappy about. And I had to go, and I had to hold myself back from being the basketball coach, because I could be the basketball coach, but I decided not to and let the other basketball coach lead. So it's all about distributed leadership and really figuring out what models suit your business the best.
I think also, as I'm listening to the panel and as an entrepreneur myself, I think one thing is really important, what you've lots all touched on a little bit, is your networks. And the things I remember when I first started 25 years ago, and I remember I couldn't afford the postage. It was so expensive, but I needed to get stuff out. And I remember, as I do, chat to different people in a respectful way. I'm very humble in that way. The postman always used to put my post through. He did. He used to just help me out a little bit. And it's only up until last year, every year I used to send him a hamper to say thank you. But unfortunately, he died. You know, he was a really old, he was 90-something by the time. But what I'm just saying is, in your journey of starting your business, you have to build strong relationships. I believe that in 25 years, my relationships have allowed me to open businesses all over the world. If I didn't have those relationships and people who believed in me, trusted me, I'm also a mentor in Apprentice Trust, and I do believe you have to, pay it forward. You have to give back because somebody gave me those opportunities. So when you're talking about trust, you do have to build trust with people, but you also have to be humble and create great networks, because they will help you along the way. And it's about your brand, isn't it? What you want your brand to be, how you want your brand to be represented. So like when I opened offices in different countries, it's difficult. You can't be there. So you have to employ somebody to manage your business for you, but you also want it to be an extension of who you are. So I do think it's really important, whatever you take away, all the panels have touched on it about having good networks, family support, great people, but they will help you along the way. So get good mentors and don't be afraid to ask. I remember my first person I asked to be my mentor was Oprah Winfrey, and everybody said, well, why are you asking her? She's not going to answer you. But I said, if you don't ask, you don't get. So ask people to be your mentors or your sponsors. And there is a big difference between a mentor and a sponsor. You know, a sponsor is going to literally physically help. Your mentor is just to give you advice and guidance. So I would just want to ask you guys, who have been some of your great mentors or sponsors in your journey to help you get to where you have got to today?
Do you know what, with me, it's probably like my parents. Like, I remember my dad, it's a really important thing that he said to me. He goes, try and surround yourself with people that are positive. And for me, that's just, so, you know, why are you going to listen to, so when I was starting this business, I've got, and there's people around me, they're friends, and they're like, what are you going to do, Robbie? Show that no work, man. How are you going to film what? Oh, what, you're going to film fans? How's that going to work? And then you're listening to them because they're your friends. And they're still my friends. But then I walk away and I say, hold on a minute, what him about film? I've never seen him with a camera before. I've never... Why am I listening to him for? If it's a guy that knows about film, that's had experience in it and everything like that, and he's telling me and giving me, maybe I should... You have to be very careful. So when you're coming up, even your friends, and my dad used to say that to me, he said, even your friends that are around you, don't listen to them when you've got your idea and that. Better you listen to, he goes, he used to work as a plasterer, and he said, I wouldn't listen to somebody who don't know nothing about plastering, telling me what to, you know, it can't go like this. So I think that's very important, you know. If you are seeking advice from the right people, you know, talk to somebody who's run a business, talk to somebody who's, like with those guys up there, talk to somebody who's done a podcast, because then you can find out about pitfalls. You might be able to learn, you know, that person who's done a podcast before can tell you about some of the mistakes they've made so that you don't have to go through it. But don't learn it from somebody who's never done a podcast and you'll be like, yeah, bro, that ain't gonna work. I'm telling you, that ain't gonna, how do they know? They ain't never done a podcast. And it can be your friend. Yeah. And that's what my dad used to keep saying to me. And when I first started doing this business, I was like, he's so right, it's true. Because so many of my friends were saying to me, Robbie, that ain't gonna work. How you gonna go stand outside Arsenal? They'll run you off the place.
I think I'm going through that at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I'm like talking to lots of people about what the journey I'm on now. And I think for me, we're speaking a lot about kind of planning and things like that, and that's all very heady stuff. You've got to go with your feeling. And at the moment, I'm kind of sitting there when I talk to people about what I'm doing, and I'll see how I feel with their response. And I get that.
And you know, sometimes it's your good friends, right?
Yeah,
and they don't mean any harm. And they don't mean anything. They actually think they're looking out for you.
Do you know what I think?
But what do they know about your app? Have they ever built an app before? Do they know anything about an app? So you just cannot listen to them at all. You literally have to say to them...
Not at all. You hear that? Not at all.
Honestly, that's what my dad... Not at all. Not even 1 second. Everything they say to you, just make it go in this area, out the other.
I think they want to keep you in a box.
They know nothing about it.
They want to keep you in a box. We're the kind of people that want to go outside of that box. Yeah. That's how I...
But even sometimes, as I said...
They don't want you to change.
Sometimes I don't even feel that their intentions are bad.
No.
I don't even think that they're intending to keep you down with them. I just feel that, you know, they think their intentions are good, but it ain't. And it's spreading a negative thing to you from somebody who knows nothing about what they're telling you about.
They're probably trying to be very realistic and safe because what they've done is probably very realistic and safe, whereas you have a vision to go and do something. And these will probably be the same friends that when you've gone and achieved what you set out to achieve, will turn around and be like, oh, yeah. He's doing sick, you know, he's doing sick. Like, whereas you weren't saying that in the beginning.
Yeah.
I think
it was actually warning me from.
I think the important thing to take from it is just that they're not always being bad-minded.
No.
It's just that they feel they're looking out for you.
Yeah.
They feel they're like, you know what? Yeah, man, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you can't listen to other people's ideas for what ideas you have. I ask questions for a living. That's what I get paid to do. So in my personal life, I'll always be asking questions and trying to surround myself with answers from minds that I really admire. So I can look through someone's work and see their mind has had to take them in that position and get them there. So I always used to look up to, there was Reggie Yates was always like the only ethnic minority on TV or on the radio. And now he's like a very good friend who like offers advice on like projects that I'm doing at the moment. And it works wonders because you're trying to emulate and also do something different, but work with people who are in the same positions that you're trying to get into. And the more you surround yourself with those people, I feel the more your thinking can become like them, and you can learn from the mistakes they made as well as the achievements that they've made as well.
I think even like family can be a tough one. Because for me, it was like, you know, you can say friends, but then it's even harder, I think, if it's a family member. Yeah. I remember when my dad first saw me dressed as he's a builder, and I was dressed as an Eastern European builder in the house, rapping along with bricks in my hand. He was like, you're an idiot. Like, literally, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, you're an idiot. This is not going to get you anywhere. This is just stupid. And then, like, when you just hear that all the time, you're like, no, like, you know, you've got to kind of really, you've got to forgive them in a way, because we're all kind of products of our conditioning. Until one day we decide to kind of break that and say, no, I don't want to be a product of my conditioning and my environment. So I think that's an important one as well, as like family. And then he said, don't sell T-shirts. And then I've done some T-shirts where he said, they're done really well. I was like, I can sell T-shirts. And he was like, no, you're never going to make money off that's stupid. And it's just like, forget it, you know. But yeah, what Robbie's saying, yeah, very true.
Cultural as well, I think, obviously, if you're from like ethnic backgrounds, there's a certain idea of what success is, you know, of being Asian, you know, going into medicine, go be an accountant, go be an engineer. Well, it's like, no, actually, I'm going to work in the media industry. It's like, well, how are you going to make that happen? Because that doesn't really, we don't understand how that works. And I don't understand how it works either, but I'm still going to go and do it.
I mean, if I'm aspiring to be a footballer, I'm going to go and ask another footballer how I can. I'm not going to speak to my friend who's not a footballer, who's unfit, who doesn't play football, and then he says, Rob, you know where you want, if you want to play for Arsenal, you know what you have to do? How does he know? He does not have a clue, right? So you need to go and ask somebody who's a professional footballer, or somebody who you knows someone's a professional footballer. Maybe you might be able to, it's what you were saying earlier about mentoring and that. You might be able to sit down with that guy and say, you know what, how can I become a footballer? And then he can tell you about the pathway to it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you might even hear about that pathway, and you might be like, you know what, it's actually not for me. But speak to the right people, because sometimes there'll be people putting you off of things that are even your own friends, and as you said, your own family, that are putting you off, thinking that they're doing you a favour when they're not. They're actually, you know, setting you off course from your dream.
Don't listen to them.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
Yes.
My name is Victor, and I'm going to get into like TV presenting. And I've been doing loads of stuff. I've been meeting loads of people in the journalist industry, the film industry. I've been making stuff, and I've been networking. So what advice would you give to go big, to go to this international, make your brand international?
One key thing you definitely said there was brand. You got to make yourself unique. You got to make yourself authentic. Yeah. And you got to stand out for the crowd. There's no point in copycatting someone else. Yeah. Like you just said before, that we're going to all have our role models, but if they've been there and done that, they've been there and done that for a reason, and that's why they've got so big, because they have been there and done that, and they've been themselves. Okay. And I think if you make yourself just your true identity, the way you welcomed yourself then could be different than what anyone else would do in this room. Yeah. You did it in a different way, authentic way, and that's what sells authenticity. It's not like everyone on here on this panel has done something through their own passion, through their own character, and through their own discipline and determination. So I think it's key for you to not fall into the trap of being like somebody else or being like these people you're meeting, and just be yourself, authentic, and sell your brand as you are rather than somebody else. That's how you're gonna make it big. So yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you have to.
One more thing. Can I we've got like business cards and stuff. Have you guys got like business cards? Like, I want your business card, definitely. You're my favourite.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And Robbie, I watch you like every day. You're my second favourite. And then you're my third favourite. And then you're my...
Don't bother.
We don't do first, second, and first. We're either first or nothing.
Bronze, I take yeah, you know, I haven't got a business card. I got an email, but yeah, that's another one. You're teaching me something. Like, why haven't I got one? Why? You know, I feel like sometimes I'm just like faking it. Like, you know, like I'm just like a ghost. I shouldn't really be here, you know. Yeah. But thank you. Yeah,
I was just going to say to you that make sure you create content as well, because
on like YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, use whichever platform, because the first thing somebody's going to say to you is, if you meet somebody and you have a really good networking meeting, and they're going to say, all right, what have you done?
Well, you got the energy, man. I love it, man.
Because some of these people you're going to meet, they're really busy people. So, you know, the first thing they'll be like, well, what have you done? Send me it. So keep creating content, and don't worry, you know, that your standard will improve as you do more and more and more.
One thing to pick up from Robbie is that one thing I've realised in business is that before I met any of these people on this panel and I seen who the lineup is, I did my research.
Okay.
And what people are going to do is, if they see your name, they're going to do the research on you beforehand. So if you've got something dodgy on your Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, something like that, they're going to look into you way before they even meet you. Or if they've met you and they've took your business card and they've left that room, before they even send you an email or contact you, they're going to look into your content. So you got to make sure that the brand you're selling is true to you, and that whatever you've got on any of your social media channels is not going to detriment them as an individual. Because if someone's going to work with you, you got to not only sell your own brand, but you also got to benefit their brand as well. Yeah. And if you're going to have something out there, you got to make sure that it's classified.
A little story about that, actually. Like, I support Liverpool Football Club. They're not that great recently, but I'm doing something with the club, and we're filming with like football players. And they said, I was filming with like a couple, and they were like, you know, can you just check your Twitter, what you've said in the past? And I searched it up, and I was an idiot. I was like, this guy is shit, send him back home. And I'm like, yo, like, you know, you've got there's an element of responsibility, I guess, in a way that comes with what you do. And I've learned a lot about myself, my perception of the world, and my experiences. And I think it's, you know, it's good to be able to self-reflect and, you know, change, and also maybe delete a few things.
It's too late. It's too late for me, man.
Wasn't there a bloke that lost their job at Radio 1 this week? He got his dream job on One Extra, and then they canned his show.
Who was that, Logan?
Logan Sama.
Oh, mad, yeah, for real. But, you know, it's especially, I feel like, you know, if you're a white person like, real talk, like, if you're white and you're working in proximity to ethnic minorities, other ethnic minorities, you do need to know how to communicate and respect other people's culture. And that's something I've learned because I was in close proximity to ethnic minorities and black culture. I learned a few things from having friends, and that you can't say certain things, and you've got to learn about privilege. You've got to learn about how you act around certain people, and you've got to take that responsibility, and then also preach a message to other people to relate, because then you can change the world. Because if we carry on in our ignorance, that's not going to get us anywhere.
Firstly, I'd like to say thank you all for sharing your stories and experiences. My question is going on with the theme of mentorship. A lot of people, or even myself, I think majority of my mentorship has come through books, and as there is a book on the table, I just wanted to ask, has there been any standout books that has really guided you on your entrepreneurship journey, or any books that have kind of had that kind of...
I hate reading, but because I'm dyslexic, I hate reading. But when some research said over the past couple of years that on average, when people leave formal education, they never go on to read another full book again in their life before they die here in the UK, okay? On average, the CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies read one book a week. So the rich people and the successful people are reading one book a week. The people that aren't achieving aren't reading anything. And when I read this, I was like, damn it, what am I going to do? I don't like reading. So every week now on a Monday morning, I download an audiobook on Audible. And whenever I'm on the tube or in my car, I listen to it. And I just search different things like motivation, business. Sometimes I'll listen to a novel. Sometimes I'll take a recommendation from a friend. And the first year I listened to audiobooks, I tripled my income in 1 year. Just because they say if you want to earn more, you've got to learn more. And you don't know what you don't know. So just by doing that and hearing what other people said, just by hearing what we've said, you've learned so much. And imagine all the books out there saying similar things, and it's just putting it into your computer every week, just hearing the same things. It really does work. I listened to one recently called The Alchemist by Pablo Coelho. It was unbelievable. Oh my God.
Cried hard.
See, again, this panel's with like 7 of the same people.
I think if you ask any successful person what their favorite book is, 9 times out of 10 they're going to turn around, and The Alchemist is definitely going to be in the top 3.
It's a great book, man.
Very good.
Yo.
Yeah, anybody who hasn't read it in this room, definitely read
The Alchemist.
It's called The Alchemist. Yeah, you read that, see? They're successful as well.
Yeah, it's a good book.
I would say anything by Malcolm Gladwell, The Outline.
Yeah, Outliers is done.
I would say Maya Angelou. I wouldn't take anything from My Journey Now. I would say listen to Ava DuVernay, who did an amazing speech at South by Southwest in 2015, and it was all about paying attention to your intention and staying in your lane. And I would say that you should listen to anything to do with Brené Brown about vulnerability. And I'm reading Brené Brown at the moment.
Brené Brown.
But you know,
Brené Brown, definitely.
You know, with me, right, I remember before I started my business, right, I was in America, and I went to a men's conference. It was a black men's conference, and there was it was actually a preacher, and I was like, okay, and he's called T.D. Jakes. And that guy, to this day, I have to credit that guy for really making me do business, because they did this thing on business, and he said, there was like thousands of people at this conference. It was amazing. I couldn't believe I'd never seen that many people in a church before. And he said, it was like all black men. And he said, you know what, he goes, you guys will be here and you'll have all these business ideas and all that, because it's just a business conference and that. And he said, and then you'll go home, and then he goes, you won't put it into any action. It's just big. I look at some of you there, pure talk. He was just like really direct, right? He goes, pure talk. He goes, but the ones that if you're going to succeed, he goes, if you've got an idea, when you go home after this thing, put it into action. Because I don't care, he goes, I don't care if you planned it up, I don't care if he goes, put that into action. And I actually, I'd never been sort of touched like that before. And I was like, wow. I almost felt like the guy was talking to me, because I'd had the idea for a while. And I was like, you know what, when I go back, I'm going to put it into action. And I went back, and I remember I was like, yeah, how am I going to do it? I don't know nothing about filming. I don't know nothing about camera work, nothing. I got in contact with a friend of mine who's doing a channel, like a boxing channel, that was doing quite well. And I sort of pitched the idea to him and asked him if he wanted to come in with me. And then he was like, it sounds okay, Robbie, but I'm too busy, I can't do it. And that was like, I was like, wow. That was like my hope. All the way home, I was like, if I can get him to come in, because I know he knows about cameras, filming, editing, you know. And when he said no, I was like, what am I going to do? I don't really know no one else, and I don't know how to do it. And then I was just chatting to a friend of mine who in the past, when I've done other business, he built a website for me. And I went to see him, excuse me, and I said to him, I'm going to need a website. Right, so he goes, what are you doing? And I told him about the idea and that, and he goes, yeah? He goes, yeah, I could build a website for that. And then he rung me the next day, and then he goes, yeah, you know that idea you got, man, that sounds all right, a long time we've been looking to get involved in something like that. I said to him, I go, yeah, but you're not really a football guy. He goes, yeah, I'm not football. He goes, obviously I like my football, but he goes, I like the idea, man. And he goes, I was working at a film studio. I worked there like part-time, you know what I mean? He goes, maybe I could borrow a camera. And it's from there it started. And if I hadn't listened to what that guy said when he said, T.D. Jakes was his name, he said, if go and, take up the idea, and he's done quite a few books on business. I've read a couple of his books. And it was for me, it was very inspiring. Very, very inspiring, because sometimes it's about just doing it. We can sit down here, all of us can sit here and talk, and it sounds good.
It does sound good.
Yeah, but if you don't take it and do anything with it when you've left here,
yeah, I've got to admit, yeah.
Waste of time, really.
One big quote I always say is, you take the risk or you lose the chance.
Yeah.
You either take it or you're going to lose it, and someone else will come up with an idea.
Yeah. I've got to do one now. Like, I had this idea, right? It's going to ring a bell. I had this idea, and the guy that's doing it now, I'm so happy that he done it. But I had this idea, right, of kind of playing this character that wears a big puffer jacket. And then I was going to go to, film a music video abroad, on the beach. And I was going to call it, North Face Don, got my puffer jacket on, North Face Don. And then a guy came around and done, man's not hot. And I was like, yeah, but I maybe could have done that 2 years ago, but I didn't. But do you know what I mean? I'm very happy that someone has. But it shows you that, your ideas at times won't be unique. And there was another time I had an idea, and it was about boot cuts. And I was like, I'm going to do this thing about boot cuts. And then a year later, a guy done a thing about boot cuts. So I was like, oh shit, I should have done that. So yeah, if you have an idea, do it. Because someone will do it, and
You got to execute it.
Yeah, I still might do something about boot cuts though, because they're epic. Yeah.
You got to
shout out
execute
boot
it.
cuts.
And that's what my man was saying earlier about some of us said we didn't have a plan. That's because we didn't have a specific plan. We had an idea, we kind of got it in our head how we'd like it to go.
Yo, Robbie, shout out you, because I used to criticize your channel all the time. I was like, Arsenal FanTV shit, I hate you guys, blah, 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 blah. And then now, I'm like, you know what? You just didn't care. And that's why you won. And that's why you're winning right now. And do you know what I mean? Me and Poet, obviously, I don't know if you're Poet, my guy that I co-host with, he's an Arsenal fan. So I used to hate, Arsenal Fan TV, man. Them not always there, they're making our club look bad, blah, blah, blah. And not even him, he's like, you know what? They were the truth. And you know what I mean? You stuck to your guns, so much criticism online. And
that's what I'm saying.
It's wonderful. I love you.
Shush, man.
And I'm happy you're doing well. Don't listen to people that
I
me
love
and
you
Poet.
guys. I love
you
your
too,
channel.
bro. He actually had me on recently. It was lovely. It was lovely.
But you got.
I'll be honest, isn't it?
I think that's my messages, right? Which that happened to me. Is if you execute your idea, execute your idea. As I say, there's no point in coming to these things and listening. What are you going to do? Go to the next one in 6 months' time? After that, you have a next one next year. You're going to go to that one. Oh yeah, it was great, man.
Yeah, it's like a drug.
Execute. I know it sounds a bit harsh, yeah, but you got to execute.
Anyone got an iPhone charger? I'm on 1%. No one. What? Someone? Can I please? Would that be okay? I've talked to my mum. She just bought a bicycle.
I'd say to all of you, you've all had amazing journeys. So, and I know that we're always still pushing those boundaries, always going to greater and greater achievements. But where do you what would you like to achieve, or what do you want to do for the next 10 years or so? Where would you like to see yourselves?
For me, definitely is I've got a child. I think a lot of people, 3. You got kids?
I got kids.
Some close calls.
Well, for me, it's just making sure that I leave a legacy for my child, and making sure that he grows up in an environment which I didn't grow up in, and ensuring that by me achieving my goals and me driving, that he looks up to me and says, right, mummy can do this. then damn right, I can do it. And making sure that all the things that I read and I listen to, because I don't read an awful lot of books. I always find that I start it and then I get to the last couple of chapters and I'm like, oh, start a new book. And I don't complete the book. But I do listen to an awful lot of seminars and things like that. And that really, just hearing someone's passion inspires me a lot. So just to hear their passion in a seminar and a motivational talk makes me think, gives me them butterflies again to be like, oh, I'm losing this drive a little bit. Right, let's get up and go. So for me, just going back to your question it's definitely just leaving a legacy for my child and just to keep reaching and reaching and reaching. My ultimate goal is to open a development centre and for that to be international as well. That's my ultimate goal. You don't know how far that is away from, but it may sound like a massive achievement or a massive goal to set yourself, but I know I'm going to get there. So for me, setting that goal high, achieving it, and making sure that I'm bringing up my child in the right environment is key.
Yeah, I think the best book I ever read was a Napoleon Hill book, and I've just forgot the name. There it is, Think and Grow Rich. And basically, the best quote in the book is, whatever the mind can conceive, you can achieve. And when you can actually get your head around the fact that whatever you think about, you can actually go out and do. And I didn't get that till recently. And when you actually figure out that you can do whatever the hell you want, as long as you believe it in yourself, like people always say, God, I can't believe you won The Apprentice. All I had to do was go down to the tryouts. And it comes back to like, what are you going to do after this seminar? You know, if you want to go on X Factor Apprentice, you've just got to go to the tryouts and see what happens. If you want to be a doctor, you've just got to put the application in at university. Whatever it might be, you've just got to take action. And I've kind of grasped the fact I can do whatever I want. So it's about setting ridiculous goals now, and even if I come close, I'm going to have a great 10 years.
Do you ever I have a question, what if you have so many things you want to do, and you kind of end up doing nothing? It's a question, because I get it myself, and I'm like, yo, man, I want to do a poem. I'm like, I want to act. I want to be a presenter. I want to do document. You can't be a jack of all trades. Okay. But what if you can? You can't.
But what's stopping you from doing that now, in the day and age that we live in? And
no, I agree.
Media is so now multimedia. Yeah, you can do all of it.
I kind of am.
Kind of are doing it.
Kind of am. Mainly football, but I've been trying to do a bit of poetry and stuff like that.
It depends, and it depends what level you want to take it to. If you want to be the best YouTuber there is, you've just got to focus on YouTube. If you want to
What's the best? Does that even exist?
I don't know what your definition of success actually is.
Do we need to compare? Is there a need to compare?
I don't understand the question, really.
You're
all over the place.
Taking this somewhere else.
Hey?
I'm just I should sit there. I want to know, Anyway, stop. My mind's going everywhere.
We can't tell.
Shout out to you, because, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I can't tell. How have I made it here?
Those tracksuit pants, how did you come to wearing those here? You just opened the wardrobe and went, they will do.
That tends to be the kind of compliment people pay me. And it's I do just walk into my wardrobe.
Yeah.
But, what you wear is your kind of individuality, and I was feeling comfortable today.
Unbelievable. They are cool.
Can I say something, just because you hit on a serious point there, though, Vu. When you find yourself in a position where you are procrastinating, where there's so many ideas in your head about what you want to do and they're conflicting, priorities get a bit tough. Actually, that's the moment when the universe, the higher consciousness, whatever you want to say is your kind of moral compass, is telling you to stop. That is the moment when it is saying to you, be still, don't do anything just yet, right? And that is the moment for when you need to get still in your space, in who you are, and all of that stuff that you talk about in terms of peace. And then the answers start to flow to you. And when you know you're doing the right things, they come along. Because what happens is...
That's a good point.
It comes to you, so the opportunities start. I started this basketball project, right? Literally, I was sent this piece of information to apply for this thing, and I said, you know what, I'm going to put it in. I beat over 400 organisations, and I was only one of 10, and I was the only sport organisation to win this money. And I'd written this project in the space of 2 nights in my office in Bromley, and I'm one person. I'm not a big organisation, and it happened because it was meant to happen. I got the project filmed by a top filmmaker because I had a conversation with him in the car park of Sainsbury's on a Sunday afternoon, free of charge. Everything with the project lined itself up because it was the right work to do. And the only reason that I did that work is I got still and I responded to the opportunity that came my way. So don't worry about all of it, just concentrate on the one thing. And when stuff goes wrong, all we have to do is concentrate on the next right thing, not to get overwhelmed with all of the mass of everything that's going on. All we're doing is moving from that thing there to the next right thing and then to the next right thing.
Your gut is such a key player, you know, and sorry to put this on such a crass thing, but you know, if you're on Tinder, for example, for you young people, right, and you're talking to 10 girls, right, at one time, you will feel a pull. Or boys, you're talking to 10 people at once or 5 people at once, you will feel a pull to a certain person and you don't know why. Just something about that one person. Business is the same. Digital media is the same. You could do a blog, a podcast, YouTube channel. You will just enjoy one thing a bit more and you'll be better at it and you'll get more engagement and that's the one you'll go for.
Yeah.
Like the girl or the boy.
Yeah. Yeah, or whatever you're into.
Or whatever you're into in those tracksuit pants.
Yeah, these get me far.
So
what's the question?
10 years?
10 years.
I just want to be able to represent for people who look like me and show them that, yeah, you can work and
Hang Asian guys.
It's just to show, because I never had that growing up, and I think there still is a lack of people who are from my community that are able to do what they want so freely. Because when you move into industries, what happens is, especially creative industries, is they see you as something and they put you in a box and they say, okay, cool, you can come and do what you do, but you just do it here and you just be happy there. But I didn't set out to do it there. I set out to do it over there. So why are you putting me here? And then once you get put there, you have to keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting so that you're actually over there. And the color of your skin doesn't have nothing to do with your talent. And if in the next 10 years that I can carry on doing what is it that makes me happy and free and liberated and makes me who I am to exist in this world and be able to make money through it, then that for me is like a dream come true.
Robbie?
I think similar like you. I'd like to build a legacy for my family. For my kids in particular, like, you know, for them to, you know, something that they can take on, hopefully. And also like something that can inspire, you know, people as well, particularly people in the black community. I don't think there's, you know, I go to a lot of media meetings and stuff like that, and sometimes I'm the only black guy in the room. And I think this can't be right, because black people consume a lot of the media, but why am I the only, you know, and I know I'm not, you know, as I said when I started, I didn't even have any, you know, I didn't know nothing about film. There's people out there way more talented than me. There should be more people in that room. So if I can inspire people and say that, hey, you know what, I did it, without even having a university degree in it or whatever, then you who's got that, you can definitely do it. And, you know, inspire more people into the media. So if in the next 10 years I can help to achieve stuff like that, I'll be really happy.
Michelle?
For me, it's about trying to be a part of change. And so the way in which sport is run in this country is very monocultural. So in terms of the board level, there's an underrepresentation of black, Asian, minority ethnic, disabled, sexuality, all the rest of it. So there's no people of difference on those boards. And I want to play a role in trying to change some of that. So I've kind of figured out that whenever I have a platform, I need to use it. I need to use my agency to be able to showcase other people who are doing great things, and also to call out the injustice and to present a solution. So I kind of feel like that's a really important space for me. I want to be developing, I've got some international work, and I want to be developing that. I want to be able to take it easy and sit on a beach somewhere in a hammock. And I've worked really hard to get where I've got to. And so I kind of feel like my contribution is about making sure that I rinse everything out of this lifetime. I owe it to my ancestry. My gran came over here in the 50s with one suitcase from Guyana and 2 kids under 5. She toiled, she cleaned, she scrubbed floors, she did awful jobs so that I could have every opportunity available to me so that I could serve people of colour who look like me and I could represent for them. So I have to. Thank you. I have to live the best life that I can, and actually that's not about me, that's about serving others, really. And along the way, I have to enjoy the good times, but recognise that those hard times are going to come, because we can sit up here, and there isn't much between us here on the panel and you guys. There just isn't. I live a life now that I would have never, ever envisaged. I get paid to go to the States, I get paid to go into Europe, I get paid to do things that I would never have dreamt that would happen to me. I get asked to go and advise the mayor around sport and social integration. I get young people stopping me in the petrol station. It happened the other day. Miss Moore, do you remember me? No idea. Of course. Do you remember that assembly you did when you stood up and you talked about being a woman of colour and being mixed race, and you put up that picture of your black gran and your white granddad? I'm like, yeah, I remember that. I want to be able to leave a legacy, and I don't have children, I'm not married, but I want to be able to leave a legacy in every single young person's life that I touch, and all of the people that I work with within sport, to say, this isn't right in terms of injustice, we need to do something about it, and here's the solution.
Alex?
Wow.
I was about to say, I feel sorry for you.
No, that's amazing. Very inspiring. It really is. But no, for me, I just want to make the most of the opportunity that this university has given me, because as the current E-Factor champion alongside Paul here, the next 10 years, I just want to know that I've made the most of that opportunity, because I think we probably all agree, as much as you can have all the ideas in the world and stuff, you need a break, I think, and I've just had it, and I need to make the most of it. And so, yeah, the next 10 years, I want to make sure I do that. And then for me, I've got so many other things I want to do. Eventually, I've got child counselling qualification, which has now been parked, but I'd ultimately like to give back and do some stuff with mental health. But that's much further down the line. Right now, I want to make Vidicrew a global brand. So yeah, in the next 10 years, hopefully I can do that and yeah, make the most of the opportunity UEL's given me, really.
And to sum up today's discussion, what would be your tweetable, 140 characters, so please, short. Tweetable advice or personal motto that you would want to leave the audience with?
Execute your idea.
Great. Mims?
Figure out what burns inside you and just attack it with every single thing that you have in you to go and make that happen.
Love yourself and transcend any sort of limitation that society tries to put on you, because it's bullshit.
Francesca?
Mainly, I think I got from this is you either take the risk or you lose the chance, and I'll echo that over and over again. When you leave this room, take the risk to achieve your goals, set your goals, and dream big.
Oh, sorry.
I'd put a full stop first, because then if it's a tweet, it goes out to everyone. And I would say that, you know, you need to continually educate yourself. You need to take risks and don't be afraid to fail and do what you love. If you do what you love and you're not prepared to fail, you generally succeed. And best of luck to all of you. Thanks for listening to me as well.
So before we end, Michelle, anything?
Mine is just Muhammad Ali's poem, his shortest poem ever. It's Me, We. And that's about all of us. We're all in this together. So, me, we.
Shall I go? Yeah, for me, just quickly, my thesis at UEL was published, and that was a big thing for me. It was a big break. And my supervisor along that journey, I doubted myself so much, but just kept saying to me, just do it, just do it, just do it. So that's it for me, just do it.
I think I've been inspired this evening, and I think sometimes you just, when you're in it, doing what you do, you sometimes get so bogged down, you forget about the real journeys we go on. And I would just like to thank every one of you on the panel, because I think it's been really insightful and been really real, which I think is most important. So I'd like us to give everybody on the panel a big round of applause.
My man.